Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant. We are right in the middle of summer, and so back by popular demand is our Summer Shorts series.
Summer Shorts.
I really think that's why people wanted us to do the Summer Shorts again, is because they wanted to hear you do this.
Yes, they did.
So, so we're going to, for the next few weeks, what we have realized over the course of 200 episodes is that in the summer, it fluctuates quite a bit on the number of people that listen to our podcast. People are out of rhythm. They're not necessarily driving to work every day at the same time and listening and things like that. However, last week, the day that our podcast came out, it was the most downloads in one day we had ever gotten. So
ever? Like even over the boys?
Yeah,
episode?
Not necessarily for that episode. It was just that one day. So
okay, gotcha.
I think what might have happened is that people listened to last week's episode, and then maybe because it's summer, they caught up.
Yeah.
So there were some people catching up, and so
you did a good job.
That may be why
last week. Good job. Good job.
Anyway, all of that to say, we were trying to just think of, hey, how can we make the best use of our time, the best use of your time, and that's why we decided to come back with our Summer Shorts questions. So if you have we're not making it quite as big of a deal as we did last year with the whole double date drawing and contest. So we're just opening it up for you guys to ask any questions that you want to ask. And so you can send us an email. You can go to our contact form on our website, theredeemedmarriage.com, and you can just ask us a question from there or just on social media. We just put it out the other day and just said, hey, if you want to ask us a question, feel free to do that. And we said, hey, if we choose yours, we'll send you some cool Redeemed Marriage merch if you want it.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump right in today, and we're going to answer a great question that came in. We don't know where this. I mean, we do know who's.
We're not going to tell.
We're not going to tell who sent it, but we don't know where they're from or anything really about them. So,
and happy Father's Day, by the way.
Thank
Today
you.
is Father's Day. If you're
it'll
listening,
be yesterday when they're listening
what I was
today.
Just fixing to say.
When they're listening today, it'll be yesterday.
Well, I'm just kind of in a bad mood already because you don't have on your new hat that I gave you.
Well, maybe I will wear it for the next episode.
Okay. It says,
Hello, folks.
It's so cute. It says hello, folks on it. I was pretty proud of that purchase. And a good friend at church recommended it. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So maybe next week.
Okay.
All right. So our summer short question this week, we chose this one. What is a way for a rebuilding couple to initiate the start of even seeing if intimacy can come back?
That's a good one. I think that when there's been any sort of trauma, any sort of betrayal, doesn't necessarily have to be infidelity like ours, but just, hurt and pain. And I think that when trust is broken, that also along with that, intimacy is broken. And the physical intimacy is really hard to get back. And so this listener is basically asking, how do we take those steps? How do we start?
Yep. And we don't even know this listener's story.
Nope.
Like it could be infidelity or it could just be broken trust in general. And I've actually been thinking about this question a lot lately because in one of my one-on-one mentoring calls over the last several weeks, I talked with somebody specifically about this, and we've been journeying a long time with another couple that this is still hard for them. So, there's just a lot of it. Anytime we start talking about something, it comes up that there are, I feel the need to say that there's lots of people who deal with this, so people don't feel alone.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't want anybody to listen to us and think, well, gosh, they say we should do this, 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 and this, and it should be easy. Like we should be past this, or we should be over this, or we should know what to do in this situation. When in reality, it's okay that you don't. And your story is not going to line up with somebody else's story perfectly.
Well, I think that this question also can just apply to most marriages, because we know that even marriages that don't have trauma and pain and things, betrayal in their past, a lot of them still struggle in the area of physical intimacy. And because of that, I think that there's probably people that are like, okay, well, how can we just restart this? Like, this needs to be a better area of our marriage.
Or how can we just look at it through a healthy lens? Like we want this area of our marriage to be healthy. And how do we go about doing that? Whether it's from the beginning, you know, I heard recently a newlywed couple that listens to us, and that's so fun. So it's like, you know, not just these people who have been trudging through marriage for years and years and years and years. This is for newlyweds. It's for people who maybe have just been married a little while, or maybe you're engaged, or have lots of hurt and lots of real life in their marriage.
Yep. So one of the things that I was going to say is we do a whole session on this at our retreat.
Yeah.
So sign up for a retreat, maybe.
But it's a lot longer than this summer's short answer.
Yeah, for sure. But I wanted to just start off with this encouragement, because this is one of the quotes that we always say at our retreat. And I had grabbed some of our notes because I knew this is a big topic that we talked about. And so I hope this encourages people, because this quote is that 80% of couples who experience infidelity, so this is specific to infidelity, and then commit to healing together, report higher levels of marital satisfaction after 5 years. So that feels like a long time, but for people that have gone through infidelity, and then to be able to say after 5 years, our marriage is better than it was before.
Even before.
That's a huge statistic that 80% of people say that. So I say that as an encouragement, because people need to know that your marriage can be better. And I think a big part of that is the physical intimacy, because it is a barometer of health in a marriage, and so it's important. The other thing that I think is really, really key, this other quote, is that be aware of this. Physical intimacy is the last area to heal after betrayal. Emotional intimacy and trust must come first. And so I don't want people to get discouraged in thinking, oh, why is this not coming back? Why is it still hard? It's something that's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And the main part of that is understanding that emotional intimacy and trust has to come first before you start rebuilding that physical intimacy. So can you think of the things, or think of anything that we did that we could just share from our journey of how we were able to kind of jumpstart that? Because I think the question, it was specific to what is something that we can do to start that. So,
Right. Well, I was thinking back through our journey, and thinking back to people that I've talked to over the years. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind to be true, and it was true for us, is that when we begin to be openly honest and just real vulnerable with each other, our intimacy increased. Almost to the point where you were like, whoa. I'm not ready for this to happen yet. Like, this is great that our vulnerability is bringing us to this point, but we're not quite ready for
I
that
think
yet.
the reason for that is because I said, like we said, emotional healing and trust has to come first. And what was happening is we were emotionally we were connecting,
Right.
and we were healing because we were at a level that had never happened before. Where I had to say, no, I'm not ready for this, is because I didn't trust
That's
you.
right. That's right. Well, and that's what I was going to say is that I think that there are people out there that know something is going on, or they know something's wrong with their marriage, or maybe they have a feeling that something's happening. And then when they find out about it and there's this openness and this, hey, this is the truth of what's going on, then there is all of a sudden this connection of, this is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been desiring, is this openness and this us being able to just talk and put everything out on the table. And even though there are parts of this story that you just told me that hurt, like this has been my desire, is for us to be just this close and this open with each other. And so in that, it's like, whoa, I want to be intimate or physical or whatever the circumstance is with you, but like you said, but I don't trust you yet. So it's that balance of, I want it to happen because I'm thankful of where we are in this rawness, but yet I don't want to put myself out there and get hurt again so quickly.
Yeah.
So I think for us, that was a big thing. It's just talks, being vulnerable with each other, being open, being raw, being like, what you see is what you get. Like, this is where we are. And I think there's something very attractive about that. But yet, for the person who has been betrayed or injured, or, the person who's lost trust, you have to be able to gauge how willing you are to trust that person again. And how you decide if you're going to do that is how is that person becoming trustworthy? Is that person doing the things that that they need to do in order to become trustworthy again?
And I think that whenever we teach this at our at our retreats, we always leave with some sort of practical suggestions. And so, I grabbed some of our notes from our retreat because I was like, man, this is like a perfect opportunity to be able to share that these are some of the things that people walk away with when they go to our retreats. But this question was perfect on there. So, just thinking through some of those things that are the real practical steps. One of them is just the affirmation for each other on a daily basis. I think that both spouses just have to be affirming each other verbally and like just building up that emotional intimacy. I don't think that we can stress enough that it's almost like this question, it's just kind of a sidebar to emotional connection, emotional intimacy. Like that's, to me, that's the goal, and then the physical intimacy at some point should become a byproduct of that. And so, the ways that you build up that emotional connection are just what you said. It's the vulnerability with each other, where you're just sharing, you're being open, you're literally being emotional with each other. So if you've never done that before, that's what you've got to start doing, is being emotional. But then just the verbal, you're affirming each other and you're building each other up, and you're saying your kindness. I mean, all of those things are just the affirmation that needs to come every day. And it can't be one of those things where, as a spouse, as maybe you're the one that would like for physical intimacy to start back up again. Well, you can't wake up and just go, okay, well, today's the day that I feel like I need this, and maybe this is the day, so let me just pour on this affirmation really thick. No, it's every day,
Right.
whether the physical part of it comes along with that or not.
Right. Yep.
And I think another part of that, you just move from verbal and then move to physical, and where so much I think of this trust has to come in is that the physical touch that you give to your spouse, it starts and it's very, very heavy on the non-sexual.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we're learning how to hold hands again. We're learning how to hug. We're learning how to
Like put your arm around me when we're sitting and watching
cuddle
TV
on the couch. Yes, all of those things without expectations. That we just have to learn how to connect physically. So you're learning to connect emotionally, then you're learning to connect physically, but physically without the expectation of sex. Or just without sex, period. It's just growing back into the physical touch and the non-sexual physical touch. And then I would say that as you get to a place where you've grown, that in those areas emotionally, you're growing and getting more comfortable physically. At some point, it might even need to be a discussion to where you actually schedule. Like you actually say, hey, like the admission of this is so incredibly hard, but we know this is important for the health of our marriage, so let's try. And maybe it's, hey, when is a good time for us to try this? And maybe and people, I know there's people feel weird about scheduling things like that, but I don't know if you remember everything and all the different steps and things in the process, but we got away and we had a little vacation that had already been planned before the betrayal. And we decided to keep that, and it was just the two of us. It was an anniversary trip that was going to happen, a couple of months after. And it was the first time that I remember just letting my guard down. And I don't know that that we completely did everything physical that night, but it was the first time that we began to move towards that sexual renewal. And I think that it was because it was something that was planned and it just sort of made sense. Like, let's give this a try. And then it just made it more okay. That wasn't awful. Or not even that. That was, what I'm saying? It was like, that wasn't as scary and as traumatic as I thought it could be. And so let's take steps to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I think that it's important for people to realize that it's not going to be the same for everybody. Like there's some of you that are going to try to start to be intimate, and then you have to go, you know what?
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. This is not working. Yeah. And I mean, that happened a couple of times with us, and that's okay. And then there's some people that are going to want to be intimate really quickly after, because it's like, you know what, this is an affirmation that we're okay, that we're gonna make it. And if that's you, that's okay. I mean, if it's both of you, that's okay. And then if it takes you longer to get to the place where you're ready for that, that's okay.
I love that you brought that up, because I would even say that for those of you that kind of, I do think that there's some people, because we've met with people like that have said, oh no, like I want this to be a part of our marriage almost immediately. And
to help us heal.
And that, like you said, that's everybody's different. But also, I think in those situations, don't be alarmed if somewhere down the line it becomes an issue or a problem, because sometimes and I don't think it's necessarily, just pushing aside what happened and jumping right back in. But as time goes on, some of those painful things start to bring themselves back up. And so there is a process in this. And that's why we're just trying to show you what our process looked like, because we've told you guys this before, and we've said it before on our podcast, and we say it in our coaching sessions, but we have... it's still an area that we have to be very sensitive and really work on. It's an incredible area of our marriage, and it is better than it was before. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it's always easy. It's something that we've definitely had to work on. You said just a second ago, like both of you, you know. And I think that that's a big part of this, you know, the practical steps is creating this safe space. And this safe space needs to be that it's mutual, that there's no pressure. There's no pressure from either side. There's also a lot of grace. Like when you said, sometimes you get kind of started and it's like, oh, no, I'm not ready. And like that that's hard. And that can feel like massive rejection, obviously. But especially for the one that has done the betraying, there has to be so much grace. And it's never pressure. We're on your timetable here. And yes, there can be some encouragement to, you know, let's take a step forward because we need this for our healing but just never under any type of pressure. It's always a mutual understanding, mutual desire, and you move forward that way. And then I would say that the last thing would be you pray about it together a lot. And, you know, it's praying and welcoming God into that area of your of your marriage, because I believe that, you can read through Scripture, and it's an important part of marriage. And so if physical connection and intimacy is such an important part of marriage designed by God, then He wants it to be restored and He wants it to be healed. So ask Him to heal that. Ask Him to come. And as you pray together, that creates intimacy in itself.
It does.
You're quiet.
No, you did good. You crushed it.
I'm done.
Yay. It was actually a short.
Yay. Are you saying yay that I'm done?
No, yay. You did great. You did great.
Okay. Any last words?
That's it.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Send in a question if you've got it. Till next time.
Peace.
Peace.